Hola amigos, bienvenidos a Podcast Toyo. Hoy tenemos un episodio especial porque tenemos a James Pankiewicz, sensei, desde Okinawa. Y es que es una personalidad del karate, fundador del legendario DOJO Bar, entre otras cosas. Eh, el episodio es especial porque va a ser en inglés y traducido en la postproducción, así que tengan paciencia para acceder a esta gema de información. James Sensei, welcome to the Podcast Dojo.
Thank you, Jorge. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, we are very grateful to have you here, and we know you're a busy man. So, uh, I start with the beginning. How
Sure.
come an Englishman ends up living in Okinawa? Did that journey start?
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting path. When I was a teenager, and I grew up in England, as you said, when I was a teenager, I started to get interested in martial arts. Um, and I was lucky to find a karate dojo in my hometown. I grew up in a small town, but there was a good dojo there with a good instructor, and he had been to Japan. He trained in Tokyo. So the style was Wado-ryu, but he inspired me to also, pursue that adventure. And so within a few years, I had found my way to Japan. So I was training in Wado-ryu. I went to university in the UK to study Japanese language, and that allowed me to go as a student to Japan. So I really made the most of my time as a student. I was at university for 5 years in total, but I spent half of that time in Japan, and I loved it. I got my black belt in my Shodan in Wado-ryu, and I had a wonderful time. Actually, also during that time, I met my future wife, who was from Okinawa, um, and that was, I have to say, if I hadn't met her then, I don't know if I would have come down to Okinawa so soon. Maybe I would have. I think I would have come here eventually, but meeting her definitely kind of directed me down here sooner, and that was amazing. Once I discovered Okinawa too, then I started to kind of really connect with the culture and the karate culture and the people here. So that was all back in the 1990s, and since then I've been lucky enough. We lived in London for 10 years. I continued my martial arts training in karate and jiu-jitsu, and some other things on the side too. I first came to Okinawa in 2000, and I started to make an effort to go and meet karate people. It's kind of difficult. I mean, even with I spoke Japanese reasonably well by then. Even with Japanese language skills, it's still kind of difficult to find people and connect with people. But I made the effort, and I was very fortunate to meet my instructor from Matsubashi Shorinryu Karate, whose name is Arakaki Sensei, and I'm still his student today. So it's been, I guess, the best part of 30 years of training now. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that I found this path, and I've been in Okinawa now for 11 years, living here full time, and pretty much everything I do is connected to karate and martial arts, and I guess Okinawan culture.
That is a great story. Actually, we have several things in common. I myself, I'm a Waduryu practitioner, and
Oh, really?
I'm also what I call a love refugee because I live in Denmark because my wife is Danish. So, Sensei, that was a wonderful life story, and uh, as we can see, I mean, you already make an impact in the karate world on several levels because first you started the dojo bar, and I don't think I have had one episode in this podcast where somebody didn't name the dojo bar in Okinawa.
Well, that makes me very, very grateful and happy.
It's
Yeah,
it's like it's like the center, community center for karateka,
you know,
Western karateka in Okinawa.
yeah. When I So I had the idea for the dojo bar because I was looking for a place like that in Okinawa. And, I would come here while we were living in London for 10 years. We would come to Okinawa almost every year, to visit family, etc. And I was always looking for a place, where do the karate people hang out, right? Where does everybody go? Was always my question. And so that was really where the idea came from, because I'm that kind of person. I'm the kind of, just like everybody else is coming to Okinawa and looking for contact points, looking for a place to meet not just Okinawan karateka, but other international karateka as well. And so that was the genesis of the idea, and really making sure that people could have a nice cold Orion beer and a tasty pizza was just kind of the extra pieces on top, really. So the dojo bar, I think, embodies the idea of community, that a lot of people that train traditional karate, they really value the community. They value the learning and the benefits that come from being part of a community, and the values that Okinawan karate has done a pretty good job of preserving the values, or in fact even perhaps generating the values that we associate with traditional karate. The idea of self-improvement, the idea that you should help others if you can. The stronger that you get, the more responsibility you should have to help others and protect other people. That you should value your history. You should be, appreciative of the efforts of those that have gone before you, and that especially of those that are generous enough to then teach you what they've learned. So all of these values, they bring us together, and they cross language barriers, and they cross cultural barriers, because they're very basic, I think basic good values for humans, and everybody appreciates that, right? So that was really what the dojo bar was. It was a place where you would come to and you would meet other people who had a like mind, who were looking for the same kind of thing. We had a lot of different personalities at the dojo bar, I have to say. Of course, some very interesting characters, but I think everybody shared sort of the love and the respect for the practice of martial arts. Not just karate, of course. We had many people come to the bar, and I talk in the past tense, because right now, unfortunately, the dojo bar is closed because of Corona. Well, mainly because Japan closed its borders to during this crisis. But I hope that next year, when I expect that it will be easier for people to come back, that we will reopen the doors and welcome people back again.
Will you be in the same location?
Not exactly the same location, but somewhere that's easy to get to. I'll say that.
Okay, that's great. I'm expecting to visit Okinawa next year, and I would love to visit the dojo bar. I mean, it's a must.
Oh, absolutely. I think I would never be forgiven if I didn't bring it back again.
Exactly. You have to. Sensei, you are also teaching karate in Okinawa, and that must be very unusual for a Western to do, in the birthplace of karate, huh?
Well, yes. I mean, I've only been doing it for a relatively short time. I opened my dojo about 3 years ago, and I think if you train in karate for a while, maybe everybody has like this dream of having their own dojo, or that likes the idea of having their own dojo. But I didn't rush into it because I was in Okinawa, and there are so many great teachers here, and so many dojos. It's not a very commercial thing. I mean, we have to pay the rent, of course, and things like that. But it's certainly not something to do here as a very commercial thing. But I think at some point you want your own space. You want your own training space where you can pursue the path of discovery, training that you want to pursue, and I think that's what a dojo is first, and then you bring other people along with you. And that's I think the definition of sensei is it's someone who's just a little further ahead on the path. Other people like what you're doing and they choose to follow and try to learn from what you're doing, right? That's the definition of sensei. Of course, if you want to be a very good teacher, that's another set of skills, and it's worth investing in those skills too. But so I thought quite long and hard about opening a dojo, and it is unusual in Okinawa. I think I know maybe just three or four other dojos in Okinawa that are run by let's say non-Okinawans. So it is pretty unusual. Mine is easy to find because it is directly across the street from where the DOJO Bar used to be. I like to have, just like the DOJO Bar, I like to have a very open policy with my dojo. I like to invite people to come, and I'm quite happy for anybody to come and visit and train. So so maybe in some ways it's a little bit different too, because some other dojos in Okinawa it's kind of difficult to get into, if you don't have an invitation or you don't know somebody. It can be a little harder, perhaps just a little harder to find them too. I deliberately put my dojo in a place that's easy to find because I wanted to encourage other people to come and visit. And one of the great things that I've been able to realize with my dojo is to invite other very good teachers to come and teach at the Asato Dojo. And that's been some of the highlights, to be honest. A place where we really get to exchange and share knowledge and information and skill and technique. Yeah, I'm happy to have my own dojo. I'm also still quite, how can I say, it's still a challenge, and I guess it probably always will be, but I enjoy it.
That's amazing. Hey, for what I can see from the web and your website, I mean, you're being welcome. You have students, and the dojo thrives, at least before Corona.
Yeah, well, I mean, we yeah, pretty soon after we opened, we got pretty busy. A lot of people came to visit. We started to build our own local students. I think any dojo in Okinawa is probably going to be quite small. Usually the number of people training in any dojo in Okinawa, even like the famous ones, the number of locals is usually quite small. But like I say, we had a steady stream of visitors who would come and train with us while they were in Okinawa too, which was a wonderful thing. So I'm looking forward to when we can return to that, when the borders open in Japan and we welcome people back. I expect it will be probably from the spring next year.
We cross our fingers.
Yeah, so.
Sensei, and now you have this big, ambitious project that is not confined to Okinawa or Japan or Asia, but the world. Tell us a little bit about Bujin TV.
Yeah. So we're talking about Bujin TV, and we kind of call it the Netflix for karate, which I guess people can take that different ways, but essentially. So the background to this was that it was an idea that, very much like the idea for the DOJO Bar, it developed over time. And one of the things that I'd been doing in Okinawa almost since before I opened the DOJO Bar, but certainly all the way through, was working with a good friend of mine here who is a professional photographer and videographer. And we did a series of interviews and portraits with, I want to say, most of the Okinawan teachers. It's almost now 150 different teachers in Okinawa that we have visited and photographed, and then started to also video and interview. So, and we did this we didn't really do it for commercial gain. We didn't sell it in any way. It was to preserve it for history, and to share with people outside of Okinawa, you know, all these great teachers that are here in Okinawa, because they're both, you know, when you go in and you meet somebody that's been training in the martial arts for their whole life, and some of these teachers, you know, they have memories that go back even to the Second World War in Okinawa. You know, that's an amazing story that you get there, and it's a very valuable thing. So for 10 years or more, I've been working with friends here in Okinawa to produce lots of photography, lots of video, interviews, seminars, just a lot of really great material. And we started to think about, okay, so particularly now because people can't come to Okinawa during Corona, what's a great way to share this? And you can put it on YouTube, you can put it in places like that, but it gets, you know, there's advertising and you can't control it. And you know, there's all these, I said I wanted to build my own thing. And I was approached, actually the timing was very good. I was approached by my good friend Christian Romanelli, who became my co-founder partner in Bujin TV. And Christian is a technology guy. He builds these kind of websites. So as soon as I met him and he met me, we were like, okay, we can do this. We can make this real. And that, again, it was just this very lucky, you know, confluence of events. You know, the environment for putting more things onto video because of Corona, you know, meeting Chris. I also have a technology background. Before I came to Okinawa, I worked in big web development programs. So, you know, we just brought together all this stuff and we made it happen. And so Bujin TV, you know, we named it Bujin TV because there's a set of values associated with being a Bujin. You know, it's like, it means kind of a warrior, but it's more than just someone that fights, right? There's a set of values that go with Bujin, and that's something that I won't go into too much here, but it's a really important part of kind of the identity of Bujin TV. So what we do is that we build a community. So we have a community of content partners, authors, teachers, who, you know, are really the objective and the way that they do things is very much aligned. It's about respecting the tradition, about learning, sharing with each other, and about really, you know, pushing things forward, progressing. Yeah, I mean, Bujin TV is really taking off now. We have around 30 content partners now from around the world. We have content in several different languages already. Obviously English, Japanese, we have Spanish, we have Italian, and we'll be adding more soon, different languages too. I think we've got some really great content. We have some lovely documentaries, really interesting, fascinating documentaries, interviews. We have seminars, some really fantastic seminars. We have lots of shorter instructional content, online classes, shorter instructional videos. We have podcasts, very much like this one, very, very high quality podcasts on karate and martial arts. And I'm hoping that we'll continue to expand. I'd like to add martial arts movies to the mix. You know, get some really classic martial arts movies on Bujin TV. I think that would be so much fun to have there. I mean, we've got so many possibilities. The great thing about it is that we drive it by the community. So, yeah, I feel very kind of lucky to be at the front of this and helping to take it forward.
Sensei, if one of the audience would like to check Bujin TV out, what is the website address for?
The website is very simple. It's www.bujin.tv. So it's bujin.tv.
Okay.
And we also now have mobile applications. So you can download. You need to register on the web first to get an account, but you can also download the application for Android or Apple, and enjoy.
How is the response from the martial arts community to Bujin TV?
Actually, the response is getting better and better. I mean, we've been running for less than a year. In fact, we went live on Karate Day last year in October. But already we are getting a lot of interest. We have several hundred regular subscribers. We have a lot of, as I said, content partners and a lot of videos. I think we've got about 700 to 800 videos on the site already. I can tell you that we have a lot of people who are also talking to us about adding their videos. And it's really interesting because we get the chance actually to not only publish new things, but also republish older archive material. So, there's a lot of great content that went out onto DVD, for example, and you can find some of it on the web, but because what we're doing is a streaming service where there's less risk of, let's say, content being stolen or, resold or whatever, we actually are attracting a lot of the really good teachers who published a lot of great content on DVD. They're now bringing all that content across onto the streaming platform. And I really think that this is the platform of the future. This enables them to continue to get some reward and benefit for their hard work, which is exactly what we need, because we need to enable people to continue to make good content. Exactly. But it gives people access in a way that they've never had before. I mean, in order to get the content that's coming onto Bujin TV, you would need literally to have bought hundreds of DVDs. But the market changes, the way that we connect with content changes, and I feel that Bujin TV is, for the martial arts world, is really at the front of that. Not only, as I say, it's two sides, right? We make it a great service for the people that want the content, to discover and consume the content, but we also, every month we give fees back to the content providers, and so we enable them to produce more content. And what I'm excited about, and we only just started really, but over the next couple of years, I want us to use the resources that we accumulate in Bujin TV to be able to invest in producing new content. For our community to go, okay, we always wanted, the ultimate karate movie, or we always wanted, the ultimate, series on this martial art or that martial art. Well, this is something that we can actually do from within Bujin TV. We can become a force for producing fantastic new content, and that's really exciting to me.
That would be incredible news if you came to that position. And I must say, I've been to the website. I'm a member of the website, and it's amazing the array of material that you have in there. And as you say, if you will go and buy the material yourself, you will have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just to get that material. So it's a fantastic idea. It's a knowledge bank.
Well, that's it. I mean, we and particularly now when people are confined, video has become the way to stay in contact and to share. I mean, even just here in Okinawa, it's been a very interesting kind of transformation that's come about, because I would say even 2 years ago, most of the Okinawan teachers would be a little bit reticent about teaching online, particularly live, right? That's very daunting, and they would say no. They would all, I would say 99% would say no. But times change, and now we have the Okinawan Prefectural Karate Promotion Department, the official arm of the Okinawan government that promotes karate, running its own project to facilitate video teaching from the traditional dojos here in Okinawa. This is a wonderful thing. It's a great thing. It doesn't replace training face-to-face with your teachers in Okinawa. It doesn't replace the hands-on value of training, of course, but it is valuable. And not only because we get to connect when we can't actually physically meet, but because everything is recorded. And for the future, this will be incredibly valuable.
Exactly. That's the greatest value of it all. And I have to say, I've seen a lot of the videos you put, the videos you talked about before that you interviewed the masters, and I've seen a lot of them. I try to watch everyone I get my hands on in YouTube because it's a heritage you are keeping for the rest of us, and the Bujin TV is like the next level, and I think we are all very grateful and excited that you have these ideas and the courage to do it, and I admire. You should do a some kind of program about how your mind works, how you can be so active and so productive in a very good way. I mean, you create win-win situations without selling out any value, and it's inspiring to see your works and say.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, a lot of this comes from a deep sense of gratitude. I you know, I was lucky to have the experience of visiting Japan, and um, and if you visit Japan as a student, you start to accumulate a debt. It's a very good debt, but it's a debt you can never pay, and it's a debt of gratitude for kindness. Japanese culture, Okinawan culture, and I think other Asian cultures too. It's not just Asia, but I mean, particularly as a foreigner here, many people do many kind things for you, and you may never see them again. And if you come to realize that that's one of the wonderful parts of the culture here, then I think you should almost inevitably develop a sense of gratitude and a sense that you want to share um, the benefits of this with other people. When we train in martial arts, particularly those that come from this part of the world, because they are wrapped in the culture. But I would say not just limited to here. I think I observe other people that train in martial arts for a long time. They develop a sense of I think gratitude and responsibility,
Mm.
and this is a very important thing. And this is learning to look for ways to work with people rather than fight against them. It's a very simple equation, but if you perceive that you're surrounded by enemies, or you perceive that you're in danger, what's the best way to deal with an enemy was to make them a friend. Um, and that might be a simple thing to say and a hard thing to do,
Mm.
but it's still true. And sometimes, it seems impossible, but it's still true, right? That it would be much better if we all worked together, rather than giving in to fear, giving into selfishness, giving into doubts. And inevitably we all suffer when that happens. So yeah, like I say, I think it's a sense of gratitude, and a sense that I sort of proved to myself by doing these things that it's worth doing. Not every act that you do, not every act of kindness or positivity is rewarded. Sometimes you are punished and penalized. It seems unfair, but it's still worth doing. So I believe in that.
So
And
say,
yeah,
yeah, man.
I
I
think
mean, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean, the extra value I see from you saying that is that it's not what you think the way things should be. You have done it, and you have done it several times, repeatedly. So that's the proof of the. I mean, it's the most valuable thing that you are proving it in your daily life, and we are very grateful reap the rewards as well.
Well, thank you. I mean, I look to many other people who set a very, very good example. And I'm, one of the great things about, having the dojo bar was that I got to meet lots of really, really great people. And I got to meet people who had only sort of looked up as sort of martial arts legends in the past. Literally people that when I was a teenager and I was buying my first martial arts DVDs, these were the guys producing the DVDs. Like, oh my God, they're gods of martial arts, right?
And now they're drinking a beer with you.
yeah. Well, that's the amazing thing, right? And that's actually martial arts. Martial arts practice is full of paradox. We study violence in order to become more peaceful people. There's paradox at the heart of it, right? But actually, very well. Anybody that trains knows very well that the best people are the ones that train and train consistently and really embrace it as a part of their life. They tend to be the best people. So
yes, and the dojo makes a kind of friendship that you cannot get otherwise. So
absolutely.
The guy that cracked your head is the one you can get to love the most. I know.
I know. We've all had this, I'm sure, but I remember my mother when I was a teenager. I was still at home and I started doing my martial arts training, and I'd come home with like black eyes and cuts and bruises, and she'd be like, "Did you pay for that? What? Why are you doing this?" But we've all had that experience.
Yeah, we're a little bit crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say I don't want to take more of your time. I'm deeply grateful for the time you gave our podcast, and I'm recommending everyone in my audience to check Bujin TV out, and also check the Asato Dojo's website. You have a blog there that I find very interesting with a lot of activities that will be interesting for any karateka. For example, you have uh, this training with 3 different masters.
That was a seminar that we organized at the end of 2019, and that went really well. That was I wanted to offer something which is more than just sort of this. When you go to a seminar, sometimes you just get a taste of something, and then the time's gone. So I designed this framework where you got 3 days, actually more like 4 days, with each teacher and intensively, so that you got a chance to really, they got a chance to really teach you something, and you got a chance to get to know them and ask them questions and spend time with them. And it worked really well. It's a small group format. I think it was how many do we have? About 20 participants, but it was just right. And I will be organizing more of those in the future, absolutely. If groups are coming to Okinawa, I've done this very many times in the past, and I'm looking forward to it again. If groups are coming to Okinawa and they wish to have help in organizing, their seminar trip here or dojo visits here, then I'm happy to help with that. I'm looking forward. Next year, fingers crossed, we'll start to have people come back to Okinawa, and I'm really looking forward to having people back here. Again, it's been too quiet for too long.
Yeah, I imagine. And we are very grateful for your work, Sensei. And as I said, keep an eye on Bujin TV, the website, and all the other projects you have, because the karate community gain a lot of from your work, and we are deeply grateful, Sensei. Thank you for your time, and this is it.
Thank you, Jorge. It's been a pleasure, and I'll be very glad to come back anytime again.